They survived a kidnapping. Then years later came an even bigger battle. One doctor said she might never win. Bria was told she'd never walk, talk, or even feed herself again. But what she said next will leave you speechless. This isn't just a story of survival. It's a story of unstoppable courage, redemption, and a mother-daughter bond that defied every odd. Stay with us, because what happens next will change how you see strength forever. It felt like shadows were everywhere, like ghosts of a nightmare you can't forget. Even with closed eyes, Michelle could still picture every moment clearly. Michelle Renee was a hard-working single mother living quietly with her young daughter Bria in a peaceful, remote home. She was a respected bank manager, known for her dedication and responsibility. One night in November 2000, Michelle and Bria had just come home from a long day. They settled onto the couch playing video games. It was a normal evening, until everything changed. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the silence. Michelle turned to see three masked men rushing into the house. Dressed in black and holding weapons, they moved fast and spoke with force. Michelle screamed. So did Bria. One of the intruders grabbed Michelle, forced her down and tied her with duct tape. Another did the same to Bria, who was only 7 years old. One man warned, "Do as we say or your daughter will die first." The intruders had been watching Michelle for weeks, studying her routine. They knew she worked at the bank and planned to force her to help them steal money. Throughout the night, they gave instructions. Michelle had to stay calm to keep her daughter safe. Hours before the break-in, Bria had told her mom she saw someone outside the window. Michelle thought it was just a child's imagination, but it wasn't. The men had been there, watching from the dark. As the hours passed, Michelle and Bria were kept under strict control. The leader, who called himself Money One, spoke to another person using a radio. They called each other Money One and Money Two. Late that night, their roommate Kimbra returned home. One of the gunmen pointed a weapon in her face. Michelle begged them not to hurt her. The man threatened her too. By dawn, Michelle feared she might never see Bria again. She stroked her daughter's hair, unsure if it would be the last time. At 6 a.m., the leader ordered Michelle to get ready, but before she could finish, he strapped fake dynamite to her and Kimbra. Bria also had a device placed near her. Michelle was told one mistake would cost her daughter's life. The man then climbed into the back of Michelle's car with her, keeping the weapon close. As they drove to the bank, she knew every second mattered. He told her, "Don't mess this up." At around 8:50 a.m., the armored truck arrived. Michelle followed the plan. She walked into the bank, told a colleague she had explosives on her, and emptied the vault. Her heart pounded with fear. A woman called the sheriff, reporting her neighbors were held by criminals. Investigators quickly arrived and found fake dynamite on Michelle's back. It looked real in the dark, but was just painted sticks. Tom Manning led the investigation. Michelle had been held for 14 hours, but remembered key details. She recalled a man, Christopher Butler, who had visited her bank earlier and given her a business card. That card helped start the investigation. Michelle and her daughter Bria were taken to a hotel. Her brother Dave said she seemed deeply shaken. Michelle stayed strong for Bria and kept urging police to check her desk for the card. The FBI found Butler had a criminal past. They tracked him and Lisa, the woman who took him from the bank, and later spoke over a walkie-talkie during crime. Police arrested them on December 1st and found a BB gun, gloves, a black bag, and Michelle's credit cards in their car. They also caught two more suspects, Christopher Huggin, who had $93,000, and Robert Bones Ortiz, who had $32,000. Both confess and confirmed Michelle's story. However, $360,000 was still missing. Butler denied everything, even with evidence. Lisa eventually confessed and said the fake bomb idea was hers. She also claimed Michelle was involved. This surprised everyone. Could Michelle have been involved? But Prosecutor Manning believed Michelle was innocent from the beginning. He saw how she was with Bria and knew her reactions were real. Still, investigators had to be sure. Detectives Rudy Zamora, Dale Martin, and Randy Demers tested her story. They recreated the fake bombs and had Michelle, Kimbra, and Bria wear them again. Michelle got very emotional and almost broke down when locked in a closet like before. Their stories, Michelle's, Kimbra's, and Bria's, all matched. There was no sign Michelle helped the criminals. But she wasn't like most victims, so they looked into her past. Michelle had a complicated past. She was honest about having worked as a stripper after running away from home at age 15, doing what she had to in order to survive. Despite not having a high school diploma, she worked her way up to become a regional vice president before stepping down to a bank manager role so she could spend more time with her daughter, Bria. While working at the bank, she admitted she continued dancing for a while because the money was good. But beyond that, there were serious questions about her credibility. Falsified resumes, claims of fake qualifications, bounced checks, even a bankruptcy. These revelations didn't sit well, especially in court, where the defense saw her as an easy target. The crime itself was horrifying. Michelle and Bria were victims of a violent home invasion. The intruders strapped what appeared to be a bomb to Michelle and forced her to rob the bank where she worked. After that night of terror, still haunted by the sounds and fear, Michelle decided to move Bria to Alaska to live with her grandmother. A few days later, Michelle drove to Alaska with her dog and a camcorder, promising Bria she'd return for her birthday. That journey helped them begin to heal and feel safe again. A year later, they returned to San Diego for the trial of Lisa Ramirez and Christopher Butler. Though Lisa had confessed, the judge threw out her taped statement, leaving Michelle's testimony as the key evidence. The defense attacked her credibility, digging into her past, finances, and actions during the robbery, even accusing her of helping plan it. Butler claimed Michelle was the mastermind and lied about an affair. Despite this, the jury found him guilty of kidnapping Bria and another victim, but couldn't agree on Michelle's count. Lisa was acquitted, to many people's shock. In a second trial, Huggin and Ortiz were convicted easily. Michelle and Bria, both diagnosed with PTSD, spent years in therapy. Michelle turned to writing and public speaking to reclaim their story. By 2011, Bria was a happy high school senior. But in December, she suddenly fell ill. She lost movement, speech, and vision, and was diagnosed with a rare, aggressive form of MS. Doctors said she might never recover. Despite the setback, Michelle and Bria fought on. Bria had to relearn everything. Looking back, she believed surviving the kidnapping made her strong enough for this new battle. She spent 6 weeks in the hospital, going through physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy multiple times a day. After she was finally able to talk again, she looked at her mom and said, "Kidnapping was a piece of cake compared to this. Do it again." And just like with the kidnapping, Bria wanted to inspire others. From her hospital bed, she wrote her college essay, determined to be the first in her family to graduate. "There is no time to waste. Life can change so suddenly," she wrote. She shared her journey on Facebook, chronicling every step of her battle. She fought every day for every inch of progress. She walked out of the hospital. This time, Michelle was the one doing the cheerleading. Rehab continued at home, with Michelle as her full-time caregiver for nearly 2 years. Their house had stairs, and when Bria couldn't climb them anymore, they had to leave that home and rebuild again. Despite everything, Bria made it to college. She relapsed 3 times her first year, but never gave up. She pushed through. She now teaches others, just like her mother once taught her. With relentless tenacity, she proves every day that she beat the odds. They said she'd never walk, see, or talk again, but she did. "I beat the odds yet again," Bria said. 20 years after their world first fell apart, another unimaginable challenge loomed: the possible release of Christopher Butler. In June 2020, he was up for parole. Prosecutor Tom Manning, whose own daughter was Bria's age at the time of the crime, attended the hearing with a plan. He confronted Butler about the lies he told on the stand. Butler eventually admitted he never had a relationship with Michelle. For her, it was a bittersweet moment. Finally, some truth, though the damage was already done. Bria noted the lies about her mom were still online. Butler never fully took responsibility, blaming Lisa instead. But he apologized to Michelle and said her book, especially the part about Alaska, deeply moved him. Michelle forgave him, but didn't believe he had truly changed and doesn't support his release. Ironically, Michelle and Bria feel differently about the other 2 men. Both confessed and took responsibility. Michelle especially supports Robert Ortiz, who once held a gun to Bria's head. He later wrote them a heartfelt letter, and Bria even spoke in his favor at his parole hearing. Michelle later wrote a second book called 9 Days about the road trip to Alaska. To her, it symbolizes healing, showing that even from deep pain, something beautiful can grow. Despite everything, she and Bria say they wouldn't change a thing. Looking back at the past 2 decades, Michelle says the journey has been about raising a remarkable daughter, and Bria agrees. Their bond, tested by trauma, has only grown stronger. Through everything, kidnapping, illness, loss, and survival, they've found strength, grace, and each other. From surviving the unimaginable to defying every medical prediction, Bria and Michelle's journey is a living testament that strength is born through struggle, and healing is possible even after the darkest days. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs hope today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real stories that inspire the human spirit. And remember, sometimes the most painful chapters lead to the most powerful purpose.